So forgive my standing in this one spot.
That's fine.
We are webcasting today. So for folks who can't be here at your organizations, you can see this later. And for anyone who has somebody who's not able to join us, you can shoot them the link, maybe, Robert? Where's the link?
It's on our G+ page, but I can put it on your afterwards or elsewhere.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. Happy afternoon. My name is Elsa Rodriguez. I'm Programs Manager with Hive Chicago. And we are in the awesome and fabulous Ryan Education Center. I believe that's right. So thanks to our institute for letting us use this space. I just heard from Kyle that we have a ton of food for our happy hour later. That's starting promptly after this meeting at 5. So if you're only able to come and grab some awesome snacks and some drink, then come in and head out on your way home. But if you can stay a little longer, we'd love to chat and hang out with you guys. So thank you all for being here. Today, as you should all have our agenda, our meeting is the kickoff meeting for the funded cohort. And one big thing to note is that this is the first time Hive Chicago has a funded cohort, and hence our kickoff meeting. So you are the first cohort ever funded projects. And what's important about that is that we are piloting this, and we really appreciate your feedback. So during discussion, any feedback you have for us, definitely feel free to shout out and share what you're thinking with us. We would love to hear from you. So why a cohort now after 5 years? So we know that we've been around for 5 years. Maybe some of you knew that, did not. And we've had amazing projects, served tons of youth, connections, collaborations. A lot of us are friends because of some of the years we've been at Hive together. And we know about these connections and projects. We've talked about them. We've written about them in grant reports to Maria and folks. But if the outside world were to try to find something out about what we did, they'd be really hard pressed to find much. Maybe some photos, maybe not that. So the way we've been doing things in the past is not visible to others. And that is why we, with you all, wanted to start trying to build some visibility to our projects. And I think what's important about that is that we don't just want to see the success at the end of your project. We want to see your struggles. We want to see your highlights. We want to see your, it didn't work, plan B. All those items that one shares and you know that you do during your projects that no one else ever gets to see except for that final, maybe that report. So today we're going to be talking about how we might be able to do that more. And we definitely are saying a lot at you today because it's a little bit of info transfer. But we do have some moments for conversation, so please share back with us what you think and what your thoughts are about this working in the open idea. Robert is going to say a little bit more about this later, but I think we're really primed to do this now. Like we spent many years learning about connected learning, learning about ourselves as a network, building a network, and now we are a very diverse, very vibrant group of folks and organizations. We have lots of resources and skills amongst each other, and we're even working toward solutions as we speak in our moonshot groups. So this is a perfect time to begin to capture all that, share it out, and we hope that in the future, moonshots and projects can become really well aligned because they can be where we play test some of our solutions and build upon them versus just closing them out and saying we're done. So I'll stop talking really quickly and give you our agenda. How does this work? Okay. So I'm going to turn over to Maria really quickly, and then we're going to begin our funded project round robin. So that's when we get to know who's in the room and what project they're working on. And then we'll hear from Anna Roberts back there. She'll introduce herself in a little bit, and Robert Friedman about working in the open and the network effect. And then we're going to review some tools that we use and we know that might be helpful for you as you think about working in the open. And then we'll talk about kind of what's next, including some stuff coming up in November. And then the last hour, some of you have to leave early, so we might want to get started with you. We want to check off one of the things, which is build your portfolio on the Hive portfolio page. And then there's a happy hour with lots of food and snacks. So Maria, let's see. Yes.
I guess I have the best assignment here, other than the happy hour. I've got the best assignment here. Brief. First of all, just congratulations to all of you. How many of you are a first-time grantee from the Hive Fund?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. So congratulations to all of you. We had a really, really strong set of submissions this time. And our fund advisors commented on that, in that it's getting to be exciting to see how all of the work is coming together. We had 18 submissions in this last RFP round of 14 funded projects. And something that's really interesting to us when we talk about connected learning, it's that connection between in school and out of school and how to make it all come together so that these learning experiences really are connected for youth as well as for systems and for all of you. So we've had several grant proposals this time that really bridged that chasm between in school and out of school. And so we're really excited about that and excited about where those projects will go and learning more about them. So congratulations. I'm delighted that you're all here so that we can work together. It's kind of an interesting way to kick off your work, to see who else outside of a big meetup, who else is involved in this work at this time, because some of your projects will invariably connect throughout the course of their lives. So it's great for you to make these connections now and learn more about what each one of you is doing, so that throughout the process you'll be able to collaborate, learn from each other, and keep this whole idea of connected learning moving forward. Any questions? Great. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Maria. Alrighty. So I just want to do a real quick housekeeping. Bathroom is down this hallway if you need to use the bathroom. And then we have an agenda for you today. Working the open resource sheet with it's a front and back, one pager in black and white, and then a funded projects in the open guide. So if you don't have one of those, we'll try to come around and make sure you have them. I'll also send out links. I put a lot of these in our open public facing Google Doc folder so you can easily access those. All right, so funded project round robin. So we want to know who's here and what org you're representing and the name of your project. Maybe a tiny tweet-like blurb about how your org is working on that project with somebody else. Robert?
Just make sure everyone says hi, but maybe one person represents the projects.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's going to be hard to make some eye contact about. So I challenge you to use your eye contact making skills right now and figure out who's going to be the person that's going to rep the project. Did everyone do it? Sort of? Kind of, sort of? If you think you're repping your project, raise your hand. You're repping. Okay, that looks like 14. All right. Well, we'll see how this goes. All right, I'm gonna put you guys on the spot. So saying hello, your name, your org, and then if you're not repping your project, move it right along to the next person. Nice and loud so that we can all get to know each other.
Hello, my name is Peter Zube. I work at Chicago Quest, and I'm working with Alex Fishman here on our project, which we'll talk about.
Hi, I'm Alex Fishman. I also teach at Chicago Quest. And so should I have all the people on the project introduce them, or just say what the project is?
When it's your turn, you can say what your
Okay,
project
so our project is called Regenerating Chicago Neighborhoods. And in our school, we're inviting our youth to be urban planners and re-envision what the built environment all around Chicago, but specifically in the near north, former Cabrini area, will look like. This is based on some lessons we've done in the past, but with the help of Free Spirit Media and Civic Artworks, we're trying to take it to a new level. We're just really excited to get started.
Hi, I'm Grant Tuman. I am the game designer at Chicago Quest, and I'm going to be working with Regenerating Chicago Neighborhoods.
Cool.
I'm Chad Rispolje. I'm with Free Spirit Media. We'll be working on the project, documenting.
Hi, I'm Karen Jeffrey. I'm from For All Rubrics, and I'm working as part of the Hive Interoperability and Portability Coalition. So we're working to try to go from just having open badges to actually having an open learning ecosystem. So letting learners be able to choose what platform like their badges live on, so have some choice around it. have programs be able to choose what platform they use for any particular project and still be able to choose where their badges live overall, like that have more control over it. And also just about sharing learning opportunities. Just sharing badges on its own isn't quite as useful as thinking about learning opportunities. So that's what we're working on.
I'm Michael Cansfield. I'm from the Chicago History Museum, and one of my colleagues will talk about our project.
Hi, I'm Alana Bruton. I'm from the Chicago History Museum, and we're doing a project called From Here to There, Embodied Conversations with Teens. We're working with UIC and Nathan Phillips. We're really excited about that to explore these kind of very physical, interesting conversations with teens. We're talking to teens that we had 10 years ago and teens from today, and we're having different conversations that engage with historical narratives, events and places for Chicago, and we're really looking forward to finding out a lot of information about what their wants are and what they're looking for and how they enjoy experiencing history and Chicago.
Yeah, I'm Ani Schmidt from the Chicago History Museum, and I'm also working on the project. I'm Jennifer Steele. I'm from the Chicago Public Library, and we will be working on the Chicago Teen Literary Festival as a way to create a teens-only literary festival that is sort of the AWP meets Printer's Ball, meets Printer's Row, meets LTAB. And that will also have have components, hopefully also a digital and innovation component where there'll be experimentation around apps and more technology around writing, so not just sort of the traditional writing, but also seeing how writing is taking form in all these other technologies, as well as connecting all kinds of other cool writer literary stuff in the city.
I'm Julie Kozlowski, and I'm from the Chicago Public Library Media, and Hermione is going to talk about the project. Hope you get there.
I'm Kat Grime. I'm with Iridescent, and I'm working with Karen as well as Utopia and Chicago City of Learning on the Hive Interoperability Coalition.
I'm Jennifer Bundy. I'm from the Adler Planetarium. Are you going to talk about this project? So I'm on another project with Wade, which she'll talk about, but Michelle Nichols is not able to attend today, so I'll just mention they're doing a project with the Chicago Public Library's telescopes in the city, and to get teens to be ambassadors with telescopes around different neighborhoods.
Cool. I'm Wade Berger. I'm from the Shed Aquarium, and I'm working with Jen and other folks at Adler to do a series of workshops and a hackathon about citizen science. So we're hoping to, one, share our teens, also to reach out and bring in some teens that haven't had access to museum campus before, and to do it through citizen science so they can take it away and have projects that they work on in the open and with some of the existing citizen science projects and research that we have in our spaces as well after the workshops.
Hi, I'm Marisa Lanis Ribeiro, and I'm at Chicago Botanic Garden, and our project name is called Pathways to STEM Success. We also have partners on Project Exploration and New York Hall of Science, and have just recently added some new partners, some national organizations across the board, anywhere from Seattle, New York, California. We're convening all these organizations to document best practices in STEM programs for students of color in particular, and just also having conversations about what does the pathway idea mean? Is it a pipeline? Is it a web? And then looking at specific phases of pathways in terms of recruitment, retention, and release. We're launching our project with a large STEM Fest, and then from there we're convening in monthly meetings.
Hi, my name is Hermania Solorzano, and I work for the Center for College Access and Success. I had to look at it because we keep changing our name and it's hard to remember. Eastern Illinois University, and I'm going to be working with Julie from UMedia. We're collaborating and providing PD for teachers on connected learning, and then getting them to write a unit so that then their students can then do a working project at UMedia.
Hi, I'm Christine Biscala-Davis from the National Veterans Art Museum, and our project is about our Teen Council and NVAM Out Loud, which is an interactive site where we have teens working to expand and build outreach for the museum, making intergenerational connections between veterans, artists and youth who are creating and doing the same. We're working in collaboration with New Media and After School Matters, Youth Muse, and other organizations throughout the city to expand our reach to public schools throughout the city, as well as throughout the country through the NVAM Out Loud website, as well as our The Things They Carry interactive website that we launched last year.
My name is Ashlyn Sparrow. I'm the lab director at Game Changer Chicago at the University of Chicago. The project that we'll be working on is called Bystander. This is an interactive game where youth will take on a role as a high school student who is playing these mini games trying to dispel rape myths about sexual assault. The goal here is to get the players to get the agency to become a bystander. So if they recognize dangerous situations or learn more about sexual assault, that they will actually go and try and become the bystander and try and help their friend report it to the police or other things like that.
I'm Mark Anderson. I'm from the Chicago Public Library, and our project is Time to Tech. And in this project, we'll design training to increase organizational technology aptitude of Hive organizations. So it's to design these technology programs for the actual organizations collectively. And we're working with Smart Chicago.
That they are.
Who are you?
Really working the camera.
Right, I'm a new hair on today. And I'm Kyla Williams, the Smart Chicago Program Officer there. So very happy to be working on this project because it's one of the ones that I actually feel like I'm going to learn something from. You know?
Cool.
Okay. I'm Holly Mills, and I work at the Center for College Access and Success. And I'm teaming up with Jen and the Teen Lit Fest. And I also have a lot of connections through the, I teach in the creative writing program, fiction writing program at Columbia College and Story Week Connection.
I'm Michael Woodard with UIC, working in Columbia College with CCAP, Convergence Academy.
Nate Phillips from UIC, and I am involved with the project at the Chicago History Museum, which I'm really excited about. And we're also hoping for UIC to get connected with the Teen Lit Festival. But the one that I'll talk about now is our ongoing and amazing connection to a project that Columbia Colleges and CCAP has been involved in for the last couple of years. It's called Convergence Academy. So they have a whole school reform model in an elementary school and a high school in CPS. And Mindy has gotten so many amazing people together to really change kind of the way teaching and learning are done in the schools so that they're really a connected learning model. But Becca and I together are hoping to find out what's happening here. So we're coming in as researchers to pay attention to how learning is changing as an in-school space really makes an effort to connect to outside of school learning. In both the elementary school and the high school, there's a physical space that's intended to be networked, connected, draw on kids in the community, and so we're really excited about being involved and with Mindy and her amazing team at CCAP and CBS. I'll introduce himself in a second too.
If I might interrupt, could I ask you to stand when you say your name and introduce yourself, just so that you could be seen on that? I should have asked. But I like you so much, Mindy. I love it. To shine.
I am Mindy Faber, co-director of the Chicago of the Convergence Academies and the Columbia College side.
Thank you.
I'm Dawn Graham, and I work with the NUPSED Project, which is an initiative of the Chicago Youth Voices Network to create a platform for young people across Chicago to be able to share their media, connect to other young people that they want to connect to and talk about the issues they care about most, as well as other resources. And specifically at this point, we're looking at being able to test the site and actually involve adults in the process, because so far it's been a really youth-driven and youth-centered process all the way through. And so we're going to be able to test what it's like to involve adults as mentors on the site and what that engagement would look like.
My name is Don Labonte, my chair is Tiffany, and I am the co-director of Convergence Academies on the Chicago Public School side.
My name is Brandon Hill. I'm the new executive director at the Kickoff Chicago with Ashland, and director of CI3, which is the Center for Interdisciplinary Inquiry and Innovation and Sexual Reproductive Health. I'm part of the team working on the site.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kiana McClary, co-executive director of True Star Foundation, and we're kind of twofold. I'm also the co-chair of the Chicago Youth Voices Network, which is spearheading the Enough Said project, as well as a partnering organization on the crisis text line offering youth media support, as well as using our platforms to really create awareness for the crisis text line as it launches here in Chicago.
And Molly with Street Level Youth Media, partnering with True Star Crisis Text Line on the project to launch Crisis Text Line in Chicago. Also a member of the Chicago Youth Voices Network, which you've heard about from Dawn and Tiana, and then just share a bit. So there's a number of members in the Hive who are also part of the Chicago Youth Voices Network, and so that includes organizations like Street Level, True Star, Free Spirit, Mikva, Young Chicago Authors, Yolo Kawi, Convergence. So there's like a bunch of us in it.
Hi everybody, my name is Simeon. I'm with Utopia, a badging and gamification platform, and I'm working with Karen from For All Rubrics and Kat from Iridescent Learning. That's me.
Hello, my name is Ed Porter, CEO of Civic Artworks, and I'll be working alongside the crew over at Chicago West and Free Spirit Media on the Regenerating Chicago neighborhoods.
Cool. All right, so I definitely felt and saw web connections throughout everyone's introduction. And I don't think we got to do this earlier with our fireworks background, but congratulations on these awesome projects. So really thrilled to see where all these projects go, where all these connections go. And this time we're going to capture them in a way that folks can use them moving forward. So that's the part I'm pretty geeked about. So, oh, hi. I can see myself. Okay. So moving forward about this whole working in the open thing, I heard some people say it a little bit. So I know there's some working in the open folks who do that often in their work out there, but we're going to hear from Robert Friedman and Anna Roberts, who's joining us from Pittsburgh today to talk a little bit about why they work in the open, specifically in the Hive Chicago context, and then more in a broader context from Anna. So 2 perspectives to share with you guys today, and then we'll go into some tools.
Thanks, Elsa. I think we actually also forgot to do introductions of our staff. So I'm Robert Friedman. I think I know most of you. I'm the portfolio strategist for Hive Chicago. Elsa, of course, has kicked it off as a programs manager today. And we have Kyle Solar here as well. She's our operations coordinator. Maria Hibbs is our consultant at the fund. What's your precise title?
Consultant at the fund.
Oh, I'm good. So I wanted to just start by saying that it's really amazing. I mean, I agree with Elsa. The connections in the room are almost self-evident. But for those of you who've been coming to our meetups over the course of the year, the connections to some of the themes that we've been addressing in our moonshot work should be evident too. The school hive connection, youth voice. These are things that we're trying to bring out of the work and make visible so that those connections become obvious, not just to us, boots on the ground facilitators, practitioners, designers, who when we're thinking about working with young people are faced with these challenges and are addressing them in our work, but in a way that allows other people to join us as well. And to do that requires a certain framework, a certain way of making it visible, making those themes, those common issues that we're addressing in our work visible to other people. And that's really challenging. That's a hard thing to do, to find that framework. And there's a lot of different ways that organizations approach this. And one of the ways that I think we've been inspired to approach this work, why we call this stuff working in the open, has in many ways been a product of our our parent institution, the Mozilla Foundation, which is the steward of Hive Chicago, which is an online company that is also a nonprofit organization that produces world-class software. And I'm not just like tooting Mozilla's horn, although I was paid to do that. I think it's amazing that they do all that with a lot of volunteer support. A lot of their product development is done in what's called open source format, so that developers all around the world are volunteering their time to this project to keep this project so that it doesn't get locked down, and so that other people can contribute to it and understand how it works from internally. And the way in which they've been able to manage that volunteer core around the world is something really impressive and something we look at for inspiration. But we don't run an open source software project in Chicago or in the Hive. That's not what we're doing. And so the methods and the goals are different. And this is somewhat uncharted territory, although Anna will speak a lot to her platform, which is another attempt to do this. And there are, again, we're not the only ones, but there's a lot of ways in which our work overlap, and that the platform she works with can be very helpful to help you guys do this work in places that Hive has not yet been able to develop any support. So I think that's going to be a really nice complement to what I'm about to say. But one of the things that's driving this, besides Mozilla being an open source project and volunteers doing this work, is actually connected learning itself. So did we stick that badge? Oh, I can't do that. You have to do it. Oh yeah, can you skip to the next slide? Cool. I've mentioned our badge before, and I'm going to mention it again right now. Obviously, because it's a badge, I'm paid to mention it as well. But just kidding. But it's something that we're actually quite proud of, because the criteria for this badge actually speak to a lot of things we're going to be talking about today, and a lot of that working in the open principle. And that actually doesn't come from Mozilla, or that comes from Connected Learning. So the spirit of the way that we approached designing this badge, formative and prototypey as it may be, was really taking a look at what connected learning means for adult practitioners. Like, what does connected learning mean when we're having a connected learning experience, right? So some of the design principles around connected learning involve what's called openly networked. Another one is shared purpose. Third is interest-driven. And so these principles actually marry incredibly well with the working in the open concept. In order for people to be able to access your work, you have to design it in a way that's openly networked, in a way that invites participation from many people and creates avenues for them or pathways for them to approach your stuff. Likewise, shared purpose is important. People tend to learn better when they're doing something in a team towards a shared and authentic goal. And lastly, that interest-driven piece requires information to be available to people when they need it, right? We know that young people learn something best when they need to learn it in that moment to get something done, and being able to follow their interests and discover the things they need. So this isn't just rooted in Mozilla, it's also rooted in connected learning. And I'm just gonna wrap up by saying, we see it in our RFP process right now. We are gonna see it both very explicitly as a new RFP rolls out, as explicit questions that ask you about where your work came from. Where did this idea come from? How is your idea evolving? You're gonna see some of those explicit questions coming up, but we also see it on the review panel, where our reviewers sometimes say, didn't someone already do this? And we actually struggle with being able to share with you what people already did. So today is really about building that foundation of making sure people can see what's already been done for all of those reasons. Okay, with that, I'm gonna let Anna talk a little bit about the approach to working in the open.
Okay. So I'm the director for workingexamples.org, which is an online community for people who are innovating in education. We are really focused on trying to get people to share how they're doing their work rather than the clean and shiny what they did at the end, which really isn't all that helpful for other folks who are trying to not reinvent the wheel. And I think I'll talk about working examples specifically later, but I think there are a couple of things that we've really dug into in the last 2.5 years as we think about kind of what shared process means and all that kind of stuff. There are a number of reasons why people come to the table around working in the open, and I think it's important to think about in your team what's going to be interesting for you. So one of the reasons is that they want to collaborate. So you might want to get
information from other people, ask questions. You're in a new space that you're not really sure what you're doing, and so inviting people into your space. Another one is thinking about how to leave a trail of breadcrumbs for the people that come behind you. How do you share what you've learned, some things that maybe were challenging or hurdles that you got over in order to make somebody else's process better later and build the field as a whole. And then the third, which we found internally to be really helpful, is thinking about reflection. So just going through the process of building your process and sharing your process as you're doing it really has helped us have a more iterative approach to what it is that we're doing. So taking a hard look at, are we still on track with what it is that we're trying to do? How are we sharing that out with people? What's going to be interesting? You know, is there something that we need to cut? And I think just going through that process on a regular basis also makes reporting easier. Can be really, really helpful. That was all I had to say. So do you want to? So we're interested in kind of what you guys think about the whole concept of working in the open, and thought that we could have you guys talk in small groups for a little bit and then share out kind of what do you think about this idea? Is there anything that's exciting, scary, challenging as you think about what that might look like? And what experiences have people had? I have a couple of people that are here that have been on my site. But you know, what other tools and whatnot have you used in working in the open? So talk amongst yourselves for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, let's do try to turn to a pair, little pair share, and we'll cut you guys off by thinking about maybe 3 to 5 minutes, and then have a few folks share out some of the reflections from each other. So find your pair next to each other if you can. You might have to be a tricycle. My voice cut twice. Voice cut 3 times. Yes. All right. Cool. Thank you for the eye contact. People in the front help make that happen. So, sorry for cutting off your conversations. We'll have a little bit more time for discussion in a little bit. But we wanted to, super curious as we were watching you guys discuss what you thought about working in the open, what your experiences were. Some of you guys do this a lot, some of you haven't done it so much. So do we have any volunteers to share a few tidbits? Take about 5 minutes to discuss. Go ahead.
Once again, I'm Michael from the Chicago History Museum, and Alana and Ani and I are very excited about the prospect of working in the open. It's very new for the Chicago History Museum to work in the open. As you might imagine, we're highly we have a really formal structure in our organization where there's a lot of levels of approval, and even within our own internet capabilities in the building, we don't have access to a lot of what our colleagues do. We're very siloed. So this is a way to work around that, if you will, and we're excited by sticking it to the man. One of the other concerns is that for a 160-year-old organization, we are woefully behind the technology side of things. There's more technology in this room than in all of the Chicago History Museum. So we're very glad to have UIC as our partner and they to bring that side of this stuff to us. And we'll bring the content and they'll help us provide the platform and the technology. So one of the concerns I also have is that a lot of the content that we provide, we own the copyrights to, but we have very specific ways in which we can use it. If you've ever tried to license a photo from the Chicago History Museum or any other museum that has a photo collection, you get some idea of what that's like. We have a very long list of rules and regs. That's something that we need to keep in mind with what we're able to upload. Thank you.
I think you're not alone in any of the things that you said. Like my experience working with people across kind of the educational sphere is that everyone is
Like, Polly, yes? Polly, you said, this is revolutionary. Well, maybe it's revolutionary. I think some folks definitely would back that, but at the very least, it's a culture shift in the way folks usually do things. So I think this cohort and you all being here today is thinking about how can we start to do that at a very light level. And so at the benchmarks, you'll see, what are we doing? We are, and I was going to go over these later, but I guess now is a good time to answer that. So we're going to build portfolios and try to keep those updated. We're going to blog about something that we're doing throughout the process. And maybe we'll do some social media on that. And then we're going to do some updates, some little tidbit at a convening with Hive Chicago, be it a meetup, be it a deep dive, be it something else. And then we're just going to make some commitment to keep process documentation up. So I think Robert said some folks may be really great at it. They're going to build a whole site and it's going to link to the portfolio page. It's going to be awesome. And some folks are going to give it a good first try. And there's some light ways to do that. So I think to answer your question, there's a light lift and then you can definitely go beyond that. So thinking about that, we know that you probably are looking for some tools. This is not an exhaustive list. This is a super quick list in 20 minutes. Oops, how do you do this? Super quick list in 20 minutes of stuff that we like to use, that we want to share with you. And then I definitely have some time to share out about some tools that you want to suggest to the group. I was just talking to Robert, I think it makes sense to make a cohort mini group so that we could share these kind of tools with each other. And if someone finds something that really works, post it up there. I can share the slides, etc. up there. So cool. To start us off with that, Robert talked a little bit about Mozilla already in his introduction. And as an open source place to start, Mozilla's Thimble is a shareable and remixable HTML editor. Maybe doesn't sound like much of a working in the open tool from that description. However, I have some examples that I don't know if I can click all the way over there from here, but yeah. But what you can do with this is create things that then have a shareable URL that are pages, and you can embed links within them, so you can have kind of a master sheet of your project, and that can be something that you want to do. So, Anna, can you click on this bit.ly here?
I'm attempting to.
Oh, you have to scroll all the way to the right hand and.
Is that coming up?
No,
Maybe the left hand.
You're gonna have to pull it onto the screen, but that may not work.
Wow.
There it is. Yeah. So just scroll down a little bit. So this is an example of someone using this tool to report about an event. You can put a video in there. You can put a description. Keep going. You can put slides from your presentation with the youth you did. There's an agenda. There's lots of ways you can use this kind of as a info collector. So we can click out of this, Anna, thanks. And then some folks have been using them to also put their activities. So if they're teaching things to youth and you want to make that, put that somewhere that you can share out, get people's feedback on, have other people test it, you can make a teaching kit, you can make an activity kit. This last one you may be familiar with. No.
Oh, yeah, I think you have to click back into the presentation.
Oh wait, it just said that you're no longer signed into your Google account.
Oh no. Okay.
That's no good.
I'll be RB.
All right.
Oh wait, there we go.
I'm just gonna.
Oh, you did it? Click down.
I'm usually better at this.
Yes. Okay, cool. But the next one was, if you have seen the moonshot thimble that Robert built. I'm taking a stage. Okay. You don't have my password. So anyway, if you've seen the moonshot thimble that Robert built, he has linked events to it. It embeds into Google Docs. It goes to pages for resources. You can build all these things within a page and use it, and that could be your source if you'd like it to. Ta-da! Cool. You're on.
Oh, okay. Let's see if this thing works. Kind of. All right. Okay, I don't know how to do it. Yeah, we had to do cookies. Oh, cool. Awesome. Yeah, so this is just this one was a thimble I made to share on our website. The point of these thimbles really is that they live online. They are made of HTML, so they're really easy to link to. You don't have to have a WordPress site or a special website or any, you can pretty much hack these right off the website, but let's not dwell on this guy. Let's go to the slides and hit the next one. Nice. Cool, but the big thing that we're gonna do today, so at 4 o'clock, we're gonna get you on our website, is we do actually have a nice WordPress installation with a section called Portfolio. You may have already seen this. If you go to our homepage, Portfolio is one of the options right up top. You can click into it. And for the June meetup, we had a funded project showcase. And in preparation for that event, we put a lot of the round 1 projects up there. They're not shining examples of what our portfolio page might look like, but they're a start. So when you go there, you can kind of see the different thumbnails in the background of this slide. You'll see the projects from the last round. So that's a good start. What we're gonna start today are your projects for this round. We're gonna give you editing privileges on our WordPress site, so you can log into the WordPress site and update your portfolio page yourselves, so you can really keep these current. So to use WordPress, which is gonna take a little bit of technical skill, but we're gonna try to develop that in the last hour today to keep these portfolios updated. What's cool is we've also developed a portfolio for the moonshots. And for those of you who've been working in the moonshot groups, you know that one of the things we've been asking for are exemplary solutions. So solutions to our moonshot challenges, solutions to our issues that are really shining examples of what a project that addresses those issues might look like. In the new moonshot portfolio, which will be on our website, you actually choose from the project portfolio when you fill out your exemplary solutions. The point being, our exemplary solutions are the projects that we're doing, right? So these are some threads that have been kind of open and we've been trying to weave together, but we're already doing the work of the moonshots. Like, we're already bringing solutions to bear on our work. We just need to connect that up. So what's gonna be nice on our blog is you'll be able to put up your projects and link them to moonshots. Likewise, the blog itself, when you write articles on our blog, those are linked in the moonshots too. Where we're really moving with all of this, and I wanted to just make this point, is that our RFP is very open-ended. It's intentionally a very innovative space that's not based on specific mandates or specific themes. And we really just want to track any projects that serve young people with digital media and connected learning that can grow, right? So there's a growth trajectory in the RFP. But for a lot of people, that's a challenge, right? What do you bring to this request for proposals in such an open-ended space? So this moonshot work, which is now going to be connected to your projects, is really a way of organizing themes of our work, right? So where does your innovative project fit in the themes of these big challenges that we're addressing? And that's going to be really evident in this next proposal application. The idea that your projects build as solutions to our challenge areas. I know that was a lot of jargon for some of you who are like really on top of the moonshot stuff. You're like, maybe that clicked. For some of you who aren't, that wasn't super clear. But the point here is one of the tools we're going to be using is our portfolio page, and it's going to start to connect and weave into all the other things that we're doing. And we've been building that platform for you, and we'll teach you how to use it today. But it's still not very extensive, and there's not a lot of room to store documents, to store meeting notes, to store photos or video. There's some room, but it's not like a cloud, right? So our website's not going to be a cloud for to use for your projects. It's more of an artifact where you store, or a place where we collect artifacts. Another place that we've been using are the public G-Docs. So we've got a Google Doc folder that's public for you guys to use. It's yours. If you want things to persist beyond your project phase or your organization times, whatever, and you want them to live on, you can make folders inside of our public Google Docs, and we'll hold them for you. But so it's there, and we'll make sure that link is prominent in this slide deck, so you can go back to the slide deck and retrieve it. But you can see the moonshot docs are there too, but you can create your own folder. And maybe we'll just make a round 2 funded projects folder. That would probably be helpful. It already exists? Yeah, nice. That's it, the working the open folder. So you guys can create folders in here if you want, it's yours. Don't have to. everything we're sharing with you right now are options, they're not mandates. The portfolio page is the only one, but the other things are options. And one of the best options I think we have in our toolkit is working examples, because it does almost everything we just discussed and a little bit more, and it creates a community that extends beyond Hive Chicago, and it is more of a place that you guys can use to do more. So Anna's gonna tell you a little bit more about that, and then we're gonna do more discussion.
Will you just throw the project
Nice.
page up? I think it's a little more interesting. So working examples is an online community for people who are innovating in education. We have researchers, designers, educators, pretty much anyone who's doing innovative projects is on the site. And really our goal is to try to get people to cross-pollinate, as well as share their process and kind of be thoughtful about how it is that they're doing work. So I'm gonna just give you guys a couple of examples of how people are using the site right now. I really like this example specifically. This is a team, I'm based out of the Entertainment Technology Center at Carnegie Mellon University. This is a team that was at the ETC also. It was a game for 5 to 8-year-olds of learning how to balance. And will you scroll down to the Sprout section? So I really liked, their whole thing was really about, they were excited about sharing how their process evolved over time. So as you scroll, will you keep scrolling? So there are a bunch of, somewhere eventually, there we go. So they have all these like iterations of the things that they built. This is actually linked to their marketing website. So, and we get a ton of hits off of that website. But they've actively promoted this page as a way to share with people how, and actually build credibility for themselves around how it is that they built their project. So that's the like sharing process piece that I talked about it. We also have a group of teachers that came together this summer that were all building immersive games in their classroom, and we ended up doing a webinar series with them and building a group that is developing resources that people are sharing. And so we have a community manager on the site who very actively engages everyone that signs up. She will ask you what it is that you're doing and who you might be interested in connecting with. She'll help you ask questions on your example to try to elicit the information that you're looking for. And if there are things that rise to the top, like the teachers that were kind of hacking their classrooms, we'll host conversations and kind of try to build resources for people around that kind of work. There was a PD project that somebody was talking about. We have a games researcher in Alabama who's doing PD with rural teachers in Alabama, and they can only meet 4 times throughout the year. So he's having all of the teachers, so we have like 17 new teachers on the site. He's having all the teachers share what they're doing in their classrooms so that they can learn from each other and kind of build off of each other's process and figure out how to do things. So lots of different ways to use the site, and we're happy to help people figure out how to do it. It's a very open and flexible space. We're just excited about helping people make better things. All of the projects are set up in question format, and the questions all come from human-centered design. So our idea is to try to help you think strategically about what it is you're doing, what problems are you trying to solve, who your audience is, and articulate the things that'll really help you be successful in your projects.
Cool. You want to test? There's a Hive related one example of this.
Oh yeah. Is that one yours?
Yes.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but have you guys been using that?
Yeah, so we use this, we're working with After School Matters on this project, and so we set this up, and I think we actually wrote that we're going to set it up in the proposal, but as a way to keep track of the project. And then actually Adler interns then took it over and contributed a lot of the content as they were at all the meetings and went on all the launches with this group of kids.
Awesome. It's
Yep. All right. So before we break into thinking a little bit about these tools and other things, we're definitely aware that we are not exhausting all the options. So does anyone itching to tell us a tool that they really think everyone should know about and that we should probably put up on this soon-to-be mini group we're gonna make? Any tools?
Or do you have questions about any of the stuff that any of us talked about?
Should I raise my hand or not?
I've been using Trello a lot lately. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but that's a good way to share a different to-do list.
It's like a project management tool, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like, you could use it kind of like Pinterest, but with have to-do lists, and then you could like put pictures and videos, and you have different accounts, so you could share, I need to do this, but you need to do this. I like it.
Cool. Have you guys used it at the Chicago History Museum?
Yeah, just us internally.
Cool. Awesome. Anybody else? So there's definitely a few more. Again, we don't have them all, but you do have a resource sheet with this little table on the back, and talks about the things we talked about, working examples. There's also some just online resources and articles for you to read about. New York City actually just did a Working in the Open in Hive, New York, and talked to a lot of their members about it. So there's a really, which was timely because it came in this morning, there's a link to that article, and there's a white paper that they wrote up about that. So that might be interesting to you as well, to hear the perspectives of working in the open from another Hive location. But great, so this is your go-to sheet, and it's in the open public Hive documents as well. So now that we've seen these tools, we definitely want to spend a little bit of time before you guys leave here today challenging you to think about how you might actually do this. And I would say this one-pager is definitely your go-to. So there are a few suggestions here already. Write a blog, update folks via Hive convenings, use some of these tools. But we wanted to get you guys talking about and thinking about already within your project. If you want to powwow with one of your project partners, some of you guys are sitting together, thinking about how might you plan to work in the open for your project, and how might you implement this? Third question, what is interesting about working in the open, beneficial, and how might it be helpful? And number 4, who would you want to impact and share your work? So before we talk amongst ourselves, there's some index cards on tables, but you can also think these answers in your head. Till 3:20, I want folks to just think individually as yourself, answering 1 through 4, and then we can go ahead and maybe get in our project groups, if that's too much of a shuffle, just with the folks next to each other. So these 4 questions, and I'll pass out some index cards to the folks at the back.
I got it. What a shame.
I would say, would be awesome.
that somehow they'll be able but also fires you up for the next time because next year you have kids coming
Hey, everybody. So sorry to interrupt your conversations. 1 minute, I swear. Can I get eyes up here? So in the spirit of working in the open and not planning our entire project by ourselves with our project team, we'd love to ask you to sit next to somebody you're not already sitting next to, preferably not your project, and then talk these questions out. So just hear from each other how you plan to do this and get a little bit more perspectives in there. So if you can do that, go ahead and sit next to somebody you're not sitting next to. We need folks to participate, so there's open seats. So
In totally random order.
totally random. Like,
Yeah. You're gonna leave your stuff number two.
don't cheat. Don't just regroup in the back. Don't cheat. Shuffle yourself.
I'll just go out. I'll leave. So we're gonna start. Yeah, we have. I know we have. Yeah, I guess. sharing those are kind of we're taking, I was supposed to be once we get out of the tech realm, like this first round, I don't first year
Alrighty. Time to interrupt you. My least favorite job. What should I do? Hey, everybody. Hoping to get you out of here maybe early, definitely on time. I have everyone's attention. Thank you. So as we wrap up this portion of our session today, who has it all figured out?
Oh, sorry. I just raised my hand. I apologize.
What are some good ideas or maybe some blockers that you ran into? I know some folks had some blocker conversations in some of your groups, so you're trying to figure out how do you move past that while working in the open. We'd love the positives too. Oh, wait.
I meant to raise it this time.
Cool. Hi, Wayne.
So Peter and I talked about their project at Chicago Quest and the several other partners. It was super cool. And one of the things that they're talking about, they have issues with sharing student work and that kind of thing, but